Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Kez. It's been a while. I've been on holiday, so I've got a little bit of a tan and completely faded hair. When I went a week ago, that was bright orange, and the sun has ravaged it and turned it into this weird sunset colour. But I kind of like it, so that's my normal hair. So today we're going to be doing another wig video. I'm going to show you my latest purchases. Originally this video was going to be a sort of standoff between Temu and Shine. I was going to show you both lots of wigs and the quality. But when the Temu ones arrived, they were so terrible that they all went back. So I don't think it's even worth me showing you them. I'll give you a bit of a lowdown. I ordered a few sort of cosplay type wigs and one that was supposed to be slightly better in quality. The better one in quality that was supposed to look like a good quality human hair wig, although it wasn't human hair, it's supposed to mimic it, was basically a cosplay wig, which is fine if that's what you're asking for, but that wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for something that mimicked more human hair, more along the lines of a higher class wig. And the costume ones I got were terrible. They all had really small caps on that would fit a child, so they were clearly costume wigs for a child, even though it didn't say that on the site. They were the really cheap meshy nets, and the quality of the wigs were just terrible, so they all went back. However, I did like the Shine ones and I kept them. They do need a little bit of work, and I'll show you what I'm doing to them as I go along the video, but hopefully you'll like them. I do have some more Shine ones coming, and I've also ordered a load off AliExpress, which is another budget cheap place to get wigs, so that I can compare the quality and show you them both. AliExpress has very similar ones to Shine. Both Shine and AliExpress are based in China, and they all sort of bring together lots of different shops to bring you the quality. But the good things about them is you can get reviews. They do reviews on Temu, but the reviews said they were good, but they blatantly weren't, and I think that's probably so people can get points. Anyway, I'm going to show you the wigs. Just before we get started, while I'm putting on my wig cap, just going to give you a little bit of a lowdown on the makeup I'm wearing today. I'm trying out a new brow pencil, which I got from Makeup Revolution. It's from the XX range. I really like it. It was really thin, and I had quite a lot of control over where I was popping the pencil to create the shape that I wanted, which I really like. Just got a BB cream on my face today by Garnier because I do have a bit of a tan, so I don't have to put a lot of makeup on. Put a little bit of this Superstay by Maybelline on the forehead just to try and hide my wrinkles, which didn't really work, but there we go. The lipstick is also by Maybelline. They've got a 3 for 2 offer on at the moment. This is more of a gloss. It's called a lifter gloss. It's supposed to give you more of a pouted look, which it seems to do. I think it would look really nice over a red lipstick as well, but I went for something subtler. I'm still using up my Healthy Mix by Bourjois. I'm hoping to find another one of these. It has been discontinued, but I really like it, so I need to try and find me another one. I managed to pick up this for £7.99, which is by Milani. It's more expensive in Boots, but I did actually find it in TK Maxx. This is called the Gilded palette, and it's Gilded Noir, so they're all dark shades. So if you look at them, there is some pops of colour in there, but you can see the shades that I've used there are the darker ones, which has sort of created this ombre dark. For some reason there's a bit of pink up there. I think that's from the brush I used because I didn't clean it properly, but weirdly enough it seems to work. Okay, let's go on to the wigs. The first one I bought is this cosplay type wig, as in it's not a lace front, is the way I would describe it. Now the colours are stunning on it, and it's got beautiful mermaid waves. This one does have a fringe, and as with always, the fringe is a little bit too long, but they come this way so that the people that are wearing them can cut them to their taste. If you wanted to keep this as a longer fringe and like try and side sweep it, you could actually do that. Has a lot of hair, and I just really liked the unusual rainbow colours. Really pretty wig. It was quite cheap as well, which is I always like. But I am actually going to cut the fringe into it because I bought it purposely because it had the fringe, and if you get these cheapy partings, I prefer to have the full fringe on it. So we have Betty to do that, who is not looking great because she gets used for all sorts. Makeup, hair dye, you name it. Poor Betty gets put through the ringer. You can tell from there that it's actually still quite long on me. So I'm getting a gauge now of where it needs to sit for a start. So we know we've got the right amount now. I just need to trim it that little bit shorter. It is important when you're doing this to keep checking the length. Don't just take massive chunks off. It's tempting because that way it's quicker, but it doesn't give you a nice result if you've took too much off. This is getting incredibly frustrating now because of how long this fringe is. So what I'm going to do is snip it while it's on my face, so I know where it needs to go to. And to do this, I move everything out of the way except for this. I'm cutting the bits underneath a little bit shorter as well, just because there's a lot of hair around the face. And I don't want that much hair around the face area. You can see I've created layers all around there now. You can see that the layers have naturally progressed to fall into the places where I want them to fall into. I do think perhaps it's a little bit long for my taste, so I think I'm just going to hack the ends a little bit as well. That length to me is a lot nicer, and so I'm just going to do the same on this side. And there we go. See, I find that much more wearable now, but that's my edited version of the wig. Now finally, the other thing I'm going to do is sort out that parting. I'm going to take a big pair of tweezers. As you know, with these fake scalps, the parts are terrible, but there is stuff you can do about that. So I'm just going to give it more of a part, because no one's scalp is that close together and not showing. It's just not natural. It's not how the hair looked. I'm not taking a lot out, as you can tell. I'm just pulling a little tiny bit out. And once that's done, I've got one more thing to do and then it will be finished. I have here a scalp coloured pen. It's acrylic, which means it sticks. I'm just going to take it along the part. There you go. That has given it a more blended scalp look. That is how you make a cheap shine wig look more expensive and a better wig. The equivalent of hair that's come off is here. It's not a lot. It might look like it, but it's really not. Now we'll move on to the next wig. This is the second shine wig that I got. I really like the style of this one. It's like a nice retro bob, but in different colours. And when I first got it, it needed a little bit of work. The curls were really tight up to the head, so I've just finger waved it and pulled it down with my fingers just to drop it a little bit. I didn't use a brush, because if you brush curls like this, sometimes they go a bit fluffy and horrible and it's a bit much. So just by pulling it down gently with your fingers and give it a nicer texture. I took the hard front bit out here and cut it all so that that was off, to give it a more natural looking hairline. The hairline on it isn't too bad anyway, but I plucked the part a little bit and put an artificial part in because there wasn't one at all. And on the website, if you look up at the picture, you can see it's got this lovely nice little side part, and it didn't have that, so I've restyled it so that it has that nice little side part. It is difficult when it's a set parting to be able to do that with these kind of wigs, but you can actually change the parts by just applying a little bit of heat. So what I usually do is apply the heat where I want the part to be at about 150, and you're basically just melting it into a different shape, and then I hold it with a clip just until it sets. Now you just got to make sure when you're doing this that you don't see any of the wefts on the other side of the wig. If you do, it won't look right. But you can actually just then change that part, and it just gives it that sort of retro part that was there in the first place. Now it does need teasing a little, or you can grip it as well, which I did when I first shown it here, just to give it that shape. Oh, these curls here are a little bit irritating because they keep hitting me in the face. So again, I'm just going to apply a little bit of heat and hold it in position to make it curl outwards instead of inwards. There we go. And you can twist it, and while it's still warm you can manipulate the shape. It will stay in that shape once it's cooled. You can also, if it's a bit much, you can snip it and just take the edges off, but I think in this case it just needs a little bit of recurling so that it goes the other way. There we go, and then it's not sticking in my face. The wig itself is really lovely. It just needed a little bit of playing with. I took all the bits at the top here as well that were sticking right up. Now, it does have what's called permatease underneath, so it's got little almost back combed bits to make it stick up, but because I didn't want it to, again I took the straighteners and applied heat so that it flattened it a little, and I just used the bulldog clip in all the places just until it's set. Once it's not hot, once it's cool again, it will sit flat and it will stay flat because you're basically melting it into a different shape. So it took a little bit of work to look like the picture, but I think this is going to be great for sort of retro looks and Halloween looks and things like that. And it's a little bit different. I like the fact that it's pink and blonde and quite cute looking. So that was the second wig I got. This one I thought was going to be an easy show. I got it from a sort of individual seller, and it said that it was short bob. And it said something that looked like it said needs TLC, but I wasn't quite sure what it said. Anyway, when I got it, it wasn't quite straight, so I got the straighteners on it. Then I quickly realised that it was actually all uneven, and somebody had obviously chopped at it themselves. So I had to take quite a lot off just to get it to sit right. But what I did was I took my scissors and went all the way around it on the dummy, and then I'm just doing the same on my head now just to trim up the bits that I missed. I shaved the back as well so that it's shorter at the back, because there was such a lot of hair missing in the back piece that I did it like a very short undercut bob. You know how you would have if you go to the hairdressers to make the bob stand a bit more. So it started off as a disaster, but turned out nicely. Now it is a lace front, which I'm quite happy about. This is the back of it. You can see now it's all trimmed up and in shape. And just underneath, I've sort of shaved it just to get it to sit nicely. That one didn't start off great, but I think I've managed to fix it and turn it into a nice little bob. Here is another wig transformation. You might notice that my makeup has changed because I'm doing this video over a course of days just because of timing. But this is the next one that I got. This is also from Shine. There wasn't a lot of shedding, which I was quite happy about. But when I got it, it did look awful. And when I put it on, there was no shape to it. It was hard to keep in style. It looks very dry and nasty. It just wasn't nice at all. So what I did was, first I separated the curls with my fingers just so that it was more defined, because it was just like a big furry ball. So I did that first, which seemed to help. And then once I'd done that, I then took this spray, which is by Dimples. This is the fibre oil conditioner, and it's really good for synthetic hair. And just by brushing that through it as well with my fingers, it's just made the fibres feel nicer and look healthier. So rather than it looking like dry damaged hair, it looks like healthy curly hair. The next thing was to restore the style to it. So because I'd been hand combing it like I am now, it leaves tatty ends. So I just, at an angle, I just chop them off with the scissors just so that it doesn't look tatty at the ends and looks nicer. I found it was very bulky and sticky up here as well, which is fine if that's the look you want to go for, but that wasn't what I was aiming for. So what I did was I took quite a bit of this out here at the bottom, and I just cut it all shorter so it sits nice around the face. They already had these short bits here, but they were quite long and uncontrollable, so I've cut mine a little bit shorter and feathered them in so it looks a little bit like a feathered in fringe instead. It already had the nice chunks of blonde through it, so that helped highlight it. And then what I did next was I took my hair straighteners and I put them on 140, and I flattened the top part. They're not switched on, but I'll show you. So I popped them here like that, held it on that section and then pinned it down, and then that flattened out the top a little bit. You can't put a fake scalp into this because of the way it's done. It's like a permatease top, and if you remove that you just see black underneath. So I just flattened it out a little so it just looks like a messy overcombed look. And then the next thing to do was just to define the curls a little bit more, and to do this I took the straighteners that were on 140 and I literally just pulled them through the curls like that, but I didn't hold it on for any length of time, so all it was doing was using the heat to separate them but still kept the curls, so that it didn't end up flattening them completely. The good thing about when you're trying to do synthetic hair is if you don't hold the heat on it for a long period of time, it won't actually get rid of it or straighten it completely. It will just sort of remove any kinks or any fuzz. I'm really happy with it now. It's very wearable. It feels nice. I didn't know when I originally got it, it wasn't the plan, but I think it's actually a perfect wig for Claudine from Monster High. she's like a werewolf and her hair is big and fluffy and brown. And this is actually perfect for her. So that was a happy win. This next wig is definitely for a costume, also from Shine. And this is Pennywise. The Pennywise wig that I had wasn't very good. It wasn't white at the front, it was kind of like a pinky skin colour. But Pennywise is known for his white face. So when I face paint this and I put a layer of latex there to blend this bit out now, it should look properly like Pennywise. The quality of the hair up here and the shape is a lot better than in my other wig. So it does, although it looks ridiculous now, it will look really good with the costume. But that one didn't really need anything doing to it. And what I thought was really good as well, which wasn't advertised, so I was really surprised, when it came with some pearls that you can add to hot water. And it also came with fake teeth. So you've got the Pennywise teeth and you heat the pearls and then pop them to your teeth and attach the teeth, and then they sort of harden, but they're very easy to get off. You just sort of rinse warm water in your mouth and they come straight off again because they melt into shape and they're reusable. So that was a really lovely extra touch which I didn't expect. So this one was a little bit of a strange one. I got it originally for a costume, but it's the wrong shade. I needed more of a ginger and this is more of a wine red. Now when it came, as you'll see in the photo up above, it had little bits coming down all one side and it just didn't suit and didn't look right at all. So what I did was I cut all those bits off, I straightened the sides here and then just added the finger waves just so that it matched in with the rest. And then I took all of the curly bit and pulled it forward so it sort of looks almost like a, I wouldn't say a Mohican as such, but it's like all concentrated high in one place. Different. I kind of like it. I think it looks better as like an edgy punky style, so I can see myself sort of walking around. So with a little bit of work, I am happy with that one. This is another short one that I got also from Shine. This one has got like little loose waves on it. It did look slightly tight when I bought it, so the curls were a little bit too pushed in together, but you just literally run your fingers through it and put the shape where you want it to go. Again, this is supposed to be for a costume wig, but the colour isn't right, so I tried two colours. I've got a wine one and a bright red one, and neither of them fit the character, so I will be still looking for another wig for that one. But I did decide to keep it because I kind of like the flamey shade, and it's nice sometimes to have a shorter style to wear. There's this one that I got from Shine as well. This looks really nice on the picture, but it doesn't look so good on me at the moment, and I think it's because the fringe is too long. So I'm just going to give the fringe a trim and then I'll show you what it looks like. But I'll show what it looks like first beforehand so that you can see the difference. And then I'll skip forward to me editing it. So this is what it looks like at the moment. It's not very flattering. A little bit of a fringe trim later, and it's perfect for a 1950s kind of flicky look. It looked really nice with a headband as well. Speaking of headbands, I got this headband from Shine as well. Now the idea is it looks like a plait, so you can either wear it in your own hair, obviously you would wear it with dark hair, but the reason I got it was when I do my Wednesday makeup look for Halloween, the dance dress, she has her hair in a plait. And rather than have to plait it and pin it all up, I can just take a normal black wig and tie it back and pop this on top. I've also got these ones from individual sellers as well, which I'm going to show you. This is a lace front. It is long, red and wavy, and it has dark roots. So I thought this one would be an easy show. I thought I'd just plonk it on and show you what it was like. However, that did not work out. When I first put it on, it was really, really tangly and all the ends were really knotted. So it was really hard to wear. So what I did was I used my dimple spray on it again, like the fibre spray. I put it up in sections and I've cut it a lot shorter at the back and then left the longer layers on the top. And I've also done the same on the sides. That's just so it doesn't feel as thick, because it felt really heavy around the face and there was far too much hair. The lace, I noticed had like a line on it, a glue line, which I didn't like, so I've cut the lace right up. So the lace is literally on the lace line now, which is fine by me because it doesn't need gluing anyway, and even if it did, you could still glue it down because the lace is under there. It's just that part there. And I also took a bit of the length off because it was far too long, and I mean, it was beautiful in the length, but because of how heavy it was really hard to wear. I'm just evening it up a little bit now. Yeah, so I took maybe an inch off the bottoms and then about 2 inch on the underside, just so that it does sit that little bit better on the head. And now I'm happy with it. But it took some work and I wasn't expecting that. I thought I'd just plonk it on and show you. I love the fact it's got darker roots. So yeah, finally got it right after a while. On to the next one. Continuing on with the wigs. Different day, so different outfit. This one I got off an individual seller. I really liked the colour in the waves in it. It's like a really nice lilac. I've got quite a few purple wigs, but not one in this shade. And I wanted something a bit lighter for sort of cosplay type ones. Now it's a lace front, which is really good. Didn't really have to do much to it. It did need a little bit of detangling just in the ends, but it actually combed out really nicely and didn't take long to get rid of the tangles at all. So I was really happy with it. And I'll say that a lot, but I was. It's got some little bits here that are almost like baby hairs, and I like the fact that the lace is very invisible on it. You can literally glue it down and not see it, which is really good. The length's quite nice as well. It's about the right length for me, which is about boob length, which is what I like. So I think that was a good buy. This was from another individual seller. I was quite surprised when this one turned up. When I saw it in the picture, it looked ginger, but it's actually sort of more of a blondie shade. I didn't know when I bought it, but it's actually an Empress wig, and I really like the laces on Empress wigs. It's TIB 27, and that's dark rooted into blonde. But the lace on these is just so good, and they're so comfortable to wear. Empress are probably one of my favourite brands. I'd say they're mid-range. They're not ridiculously expensive, but you can expect to pay somewhere around £50 if you're buying them new. Obviously you can get them cheaper elsewhere. This sort of hair is kind of like a yaki texture, and yaki texture is more to mimic African style type hair, but it doesn't detract from it being really lovely, and it doesn't look any different on. It's just the feel of it when you touch it is slightly different. But I like the fact that the roots are really long and dragged. I think it makes it a really pretty wig. So that was a really good find, and I think I only paid about £15 for it, which again for Empress wigs is quite cheap. This one is Natural Image, and this is a more expensive wig, or would be. I did buy it cheap. I managed to get it for about £30, I think it was. And the style is apparently called Sultry. Now it will look ridiculous when I'm wearing it because it's basically ginger and an afro. But the main reason I got this was for Beverly from It, and this is how her hair actually looks when she cuts it short. It does have like a longer part at the back here, which I'm debating cutting a little bit shorter because her hair is literally cut into almost like a boy cut. But I actually quite like it. It would be quite good for an 80s look as well, I think. I know it's crazy and big hair, but that's the style of it, so it's supposed to be. But as you've seen from my videos, I'm always getting ones for costumes as well as just to wear. This is another Shine one I got. Again, this one is meant to mimic like a crocheted afro type texture. It's supposed to be like dreadlocks, and I really like dreadlock wigs. I just really love the way they look. It's supposed to be like a two-toned one. Now I would say that with this one, the cap is small, so if you have a small head, it probably won't be for you. And it's literally crazy. Like the afro bits are everywhere. I'm not quite sure how to control them to get them to sit right on me. I think that's probably about it. But yeah, it is a good fun wig. I do like it. I love the fact that it's got all of these crocheted bits in. I was hoping when it came that these ends were lighter and more of a sort of ashy blonde, because that's what it looked like in the photo, but it did turn out to be a little bit darker. I think I'd probably have to pin that one under just so that it stopped flopping in my eyes. But the wig itself is fun and I really like it. And I think it'll be fun for some makeup looks. This is another Shine wig that I forgot. I had a wig like this from Shine probably one of the first ones I got, and I absolutely loved the style and the colour. The only problem with it was that it wasn't a lace front and it was really shiny and fake looking. This is the same colours with a dark root, but it actually has a lace part here. So the lace part's been cut quite short, but when you see when it's on, it fits really nicely. So I really like the naturalness of that one. Nothing needs doing to that one, very rare, but yeah. This is one I've been waiting to get for a while. This one is Nova from Lulabells. I've got a lot of Lulabells wigs, and this is one of the few that I was missing. It's a beachy wave. It's long with lighter blonde pieces in, but it's generally more of a sort of browny caramelly colour and got darker roots. Lace front, and as with all Lulabells, look, it's all the way around the front. This one is beautiful. It is longer than what I usually go for, but I'm not going to cut it because I do like the length on this one. I think every now and then I do like to have longer, prettier, sort of mermaidy hair, and this one kind of really embodies that, I think. So I think that was a good buy. Usually this retails for around about £70. I managed to get it for, I think it was 20 in the end. This was another Shine purchase. This was one from a previous order that I haven't had a chance to show yet. So it is a lace front. I have cut the lace. The lace is quite invisible on it, so it's quite a nice one. It's a little bit like the one that I got that's plum coloured, that's actually human hair, but this is more of a reddy shade. It has got probably a slightly thicker texture to it, more than, not quite as soft as some of them, but it's still quite nice and it looks good on, which is the important thing, because not many people go around touching your hair anyway. It has got very small ear tabs on it. Some of them were a little bit bigger, but I've cut mine. But you could stick it down. I don't think many people will be very happy with the ear tabs, because a lot of people like longer ones so that they can actually stick the wig down. It doesn't really matter because, to be honest, it doesn't really need gluing. It's pretty much glueless. The only thing I would say is when you wear a wig cap under it, this one, which is mine, needs to be pushed all the way down. Otherwise you'll see a line there from the scalp. But if you wear a skin coloured one underneath, it does kind of mimic a hairline. It does look a little bit more artificial in this lighting, just because I've got a ring light beaming on it on an HD camera. But in actuality, if you were looking at it in the mirror, you wouldn't sort of detect it as a wig, I don't think. This one that I have here is actually a Lush Wigs one. They did this collection where they had a coloured fringe, and the only one that I was missing was the blue and green one. And I managed to find it off an individual seller really cheap. I think it was about £10. I like the collection, but what I will say is the fringes don't always push together very well. So this is a little bit long on me. I am going to trim it, but what I suggest is you take your straighteners, because it is heat resistant, and just curl it under to keep it together, and then it looks better. I will be trimming it up. But if I sit it high, you can just get an idea of what it looks like. But I think it's really nice with that little pop of colour at the front. The other ones are two different shades of purple. So you've got a lighter purple and a darker purple, and then like a yellow and an orange as well. I also got this short one from an individual seller. I haven't had a chance to play around with it yet, so this is the first time I've had it on. I like the fact that it's got a bit of a root to it, so it makes it look more natural. It seems to have a quite thin cap, so you would have to make sure that the fringe is placed so that you don't see it, but I like the fact that it's kind of like a white blonde. The other thing I'm not too keen on with it is this bumpy bit at the back, which I'm hoping I can flatten down a little bit. Sometimes when they come with like a bit of a lump in them for some reason. If it's heat resistant, you just apply a little heat with the straighteners. You can sometimes reshape the cap. There we go, nasty bump gone. It also helps if you pull it right down at the back, because that keeps it from being lumpy as well. It's probably just from where it's been in travel and nobody's actually done anything with it. and because it's just sat in a bag, it's just ended up with that rough bump on it. But it's easily done if you've got straighteners. I like the fact that the fringe comes over on this one, and I'd keep it that way because I think it looks like a really nice style like that. The only thing that does bother me a bit, as I say, is this cap showing underneath. So you'd probably have to find a bit, which I think is probably there, where the cap doesn't show. The other option as well is to take a little bit of hot glue, and where you can see the cap, you can either glue the hair down so that it doesn't move, but if you want to be opening to still restyling the wig, then you can take a little tiny part, one of the wefts out the back, and just glue it under so that it covers it. That's something I might do and then show in a video, but the style itself is really cute. I'm glad that that nasty bump's out of it though. I'm going to keep it on my wig stand for now, except for a couple of costume ones. They're all the ones that I've had that are new for the time being. I'm not going to show the costume ones yet because I've got some more shine orders coming, and also the ones from AliExpress, and I want to do a video on comparing the two as to where you shop as to what's better. And for that reason, I'm not going to do the rest of them just yet. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you again soon. Thanks for watching. If you could please like and subscribe, that would really help me to be able to make more content for you. Take care, see you next time.